All right, welcome into a very special edition of the High Noon Report. Typically airs Monday through Friday, noon till whenever. And what we like to do on the High Noon Report is get you up to speed on all the hot topics, current events, trends, whatever it is that's happening in the world. We give it to you in a nice little rundown, little float. I don't want you guys out there walking around in the world, bumping into somebody at Starbucks or wherever and have them go, hey, did you hear about? And you're like, no, I didn't. If you listen to the High Noon Report every day, I will give you all of those things that they could possibly throw at you. And, hey, at dinner tonight, you'll have a couple of topics you can toss out. That's the service that I provide every Monday through Friday, noon to whenever, here on the High Noon Report with me, Pugs Moran. This is a special recorded edition because on this day, May the 17th, year of our Lord, 2023, we had some technical issues. And although we got through the first part of the show, on a typical High Noon live stream, the show will consist of the opening segment is called Erstwhile on this day. And we go back through the events of this particular day. And we talk about all the things that may shape the hours to come. You know, well, it happened then and it happened again. Are there trends? Do certain kinds of things occur on this day? So we go over all of that. Then we go over some of the birthdays and we talk about the people who were born onto this plane on that day. And then we go through the mornings. That's right, the people who died. And we play a little game we like to play called These Are the People Who Died Today. Do we care? And now we've done all of those. We've already done those. Those were on the live stream for today. So you can go to pugscast.com and you can just find one of the earlier episodes from today, May the 17th, year of our Lord, 2023. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to run through all the trends, all of the things that I didn't get to do, all of the things that are happening today. We've already done the erstwhile part. You can find that on an earlier recording. But now it's time for the trends and all of the things that are happening in the world. All right, so here's a big tease that's happening as we go to recording. What is that called? As we go to tape? What's the saying? What is it? What am I supposed to say here? As we go to print. This isn't print, we're streaming. Anyway, as of this moment right here, we're being teased with a story about Fox News and a complete revamping of the entire Fox News lineup. It says here, Fox News is preparing to announce an ambitious new schedule. A schedule where every hour of prime time will change. Okay, all right. Top sources say it's their boldest and most fearless lineup ever. Fox doing some changes. We were talking about this yesterday. About how CNN, like the bunch of cucks that they are, they just sat there and they allowed their brand, the brand that they had, the worldwide news leader, right? That was the world news, whatever. That was their brand. That's what CNN was. Over the course of the 2016 campaign, they allowed their brand to be radically changed by Trump and that whole thing. And guess what? They didn't fight back. And you know what? Some of the criticisms were right because CNN was never perfect. But they just didn't outright make shit up. They were just, I think, a little biased sometimes in their slants when CNN probably shouldn't have been. See, I always like to look at it like if you're a crazy lefty. And by the way, that's part of this show. We don't play the crazy lefty, crazy righty game, okay? We recognize that there are nutbags all around us, and this show is for the rest of us normal people sitting here in the middle. We got friends on both sides, and it's just so tedious. So you had your lefty friends who would watch MSNBC. Oh, did you hear what Rachel Maddow said? No, I didn't. And then you had your righty friends who would be like, Tucker, that whole thing on Fox. CNN I always looked at as sort of like being in the middle. They're not outwardly declaring one side over the other as MSNBC and Fox did. But, they were supposed to be like, I just want news. I just want to see. Tell me about Tell me about Baghdad. Tell me about what's happening around the world. Cover the world. Do the job that you, CNN, have been branded with since Ted Turner opened them doors back in the late 70s. The worldwide... No, I keep doing worldwide sports. That's ESPN, right? Story on them coming up in a bit. So anyway, CNN, they allowed their entire brand to be redone. And now they just suck. Now it is just fake news, BS, CNN. Why? Because they tried to be above it all. They tried to be, they can say what they want, but we all know they're like the rich folk at the country club who don't see the parade of people coming up the drive with the pitchforks and the flaming torches. Oh, please. They can't be members. That's what the whole thing, that's how CNN reacted to this full frontal assault on their entire brand. And they laid down like a bunch of cuck bitches. And now look at them. Now they're an absolute joke of a network. Having said all that about CNN, Fox News outwardly lied about everything for like 20 years, right? And that's one of the reasons. Look, the reason I don't watch MSNBC is because, oh my God, I just want to vomit with some of the garbage that I hear that come out of there. The reason I don't watch Fox is because I know it's all bullshit. Because I know it's all whatever is going to make these particular people look better and these people look bad. That was their entire motive. That's what Fox News was. So I didn't listen to them. But we knew that about Fox. And now Fox, even though that they were the top of the heap, man, they were making so much money. I mean, they were a top building cable news network. All their shows were number one. They were just cranking it. They lost that big lawsuit. And remember, in the days or in the hours following the decision, they lost to Dominion, the big giant multi-billion-dollar lawsuit, which, people said was going to crater the network. And guess what? It kind of did. In the hours following that, there was all of this, we've settled, we admit no fault, we're not going to change anything. And everybody the lefties were all mad, right? The people who hate Fox News, they were like, what do you mean they don't admit the fault? What do you mean they're not changing anything? Nothing was learned. This was just a money grab. Okay. Well, in the week since then, Fox News has fired a bunch of their more high-profile rabble-rousers. You got the wine lady, the drunk judge lady on weekends, who I only know from the Cecily Strong impersonations on Saturday Night Live. I don't even know who that is. She got shit canned. Then you had that the black guy Bon Jovi, whatever that guy's name was. He got fired. They jettisoned him. And then the big one. Then they got rid of Tucker. And it was like, boom, Tucker's gone. Meanwhile, Fox News apologists are all going, these radical changes have nothing to do with the $8 billion we just had. What? Nothing to see here, folks. Well, now comes the tease of a big, big, big story at Fox News, which is that they're going to radically rechange everything. Fox News is preparing to announce an ambitious new schedule. The Drudge Report has learned a schedule where every hour of primetime will change. Top sources say that it's their boldest and most fearless lineup ever. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean primetime will change? Was it Laura Ingraham? Is she gone? Sean Hannity? Is he gone? I mean, we know Tucker's gone. We don't know who's filling his spot. Jeez, I mean, this is what the people in the months leading up to the Dominion case. This is all those people who were going, this is gonna take down Fox. And then it didn't look like it didn't. But now it looks like it has certainly had a radical impact on Fox. So developing ... Let's see where that goes. Also trending today. Did you see this one? This is from here locally in Dallas. Did you hear about the Burleson Bomber? And that's what I'm calling him. I'm calling him the Burleson Bomber, because I think that's got nice alliteration to it. Some dude, this comes to us from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, although it is a national story that has been picked up and is trending, which is why it's number 2 story that we're going to mention here. So this dude out there, I'll just read it to you. Arrest of man with homemade bomb may have prevented mass tragedy in North Texas. This according to the FBI. I'm always a little, I always... sometimes a little skeptical, when the FBI busts a bunch of people living in an apartment and they're like, we stopped what could have been another 9/11, and they're all like, look what we did. Yeah, a little cynical about that. Take your bows, whatever, guys, I get it. However, it could also be true, right? So it's like this guy, this particular dude, this who we're calling the Burleson Bomber, this feller seemed, this one seemed like maybe this was going to be something. And it really does look like the FBI and the police, they did an incredible job on this one. So we should check these details out. Fort Worth, Texas, Dateline. A mass casualty attack may have been prevented when federal authorities arrested a 22-year-old man from Burleson who idolized the Columbine high school shooters and had a homemade bomb. This according to a news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Noah, here's the name. Do you know him? Do you know him here in the North Texas area? Noah Robert Calderon was charged April 18th with possession of a destructive device. His first appearance before U.S. Magistrate Judge Jeffrey L. Kirsten was on Monday. Calderon exhibited several indicators of potential violence, including a fascination with mass shootings and white supremacy, and a progression, here's a quote now, and a progression, quote, from ideation to planning and preparation, authorities said in a news release on Tuesday. In apprehending Mr. Calderon, we may have averted a mass tragedy. So let's get into some of the shit that they got on him. Because I know right now it's like, yeah, well, what do they got on him? And they got some stuff on him. He did some stuff. And like all of these dumbass youngster Che Guevara, whatever guys they want, they're all idiots and they all document it on Instagram or Facebook or, all of this shit. These dummies. The FBI was alerted to Snapchat images where Calderon showed off homemade explosives, including one prominently marked with SS, which authorities believe to be a reference to the Nazi paramilitary group. He also possessed images of himself in tactical vests, posing with multiple long rifles and handguns, and shared Columbine-themed memes. The FBI in March received a tip that Calderon had detonated a homemade bomb in a neighborhood, including 911 calls about a loud blasting sound and smoke. After that, the FBI reviewed Calderon's Google account and found searches for mass shooters, how to make a pipe bomb and propane bombs, and where the propane bombs were placed in Columbine. Those are some bad Google searches. I'm always, whenever I get like a weird dark thought and I go, I should Google search that, I pull up. I'm like, nope, I don't want that. Because any number of crazy things can go down in the next, any number of, I don't know, what, people get swatted, I don't know. I'm just saying, right? I don't need weird stuff on my Google search history. And there's probably a way to cover that up, right? I don't know how to do that, so. He also bought 2 pounds of potassium. This is the dude, the Burleson bomber. He bought 2 pounds of potassium perchlorate, 1 pound of aluminum powder, and a fuse online. When they searched his home, all right, now we're getting to his house. Now we're going to see what the Burleson bomber had in his house. When they searched his home, federal authorities found in the garage a brown shoebox containing items used to make and detonate a bomb, including a glass jar marked frag that was filled with metal BBs and lead. He found a white plastic container with 659.2 grams of explosive powder. They also found a handwritten document labeled manifesto. Yeah, there you go. That's what they were waiting on. The manifesto. There's always one of those around somewhere. You got to check them desk drawers. A handwritten document labeled manifesto found in Calderon's room glorified the Columbine shooters and espoused his beliefs in white supremacy. If he's found guilty, Calderon could spend, are you ready, 10 years in prison. Just enough time for him to perfect his mastercraft. Yeah, no, I think this one, with the stuff that they found and with, the manifesto, and look, ain't nobody writing a manifesto, right, who has good intentions in the next few weeks. You don't sit down. A guy who is looking forward to bouncing his grandchildren on his knee one day is not sitting down to write a manifesto, certainly not at 18. Okay, what else do we have? That's the Burleson bomber. Here's some interesting, relatively new news. This popped off this morning, as they say. Some stuff in the Bryan Kohberger deal. Remember Bryan Kohberger? Bryan Kohberger is that creep monster dude who killed those teenagers. The Idaho college students. He butchered them in their sleep. Kohberger, that big giant freak show, tall, skinny weirdo with good hair. He's got good hair. He's actually, you know what? He blew it. He probably could have been a good looking guy. I don't know. I think I asked this before. I don't know if he looks like a monster or if he looks like a guy who could totally slay. Like a guy who, like, girls would told me, I don't know, he's tall, he's thin, he's got good hair. Whatever. No, I'm not crushing on Bryan Kohberger. In fact, let's get into why he's trending. Bryan Kohberger, a grand jury has indicted Idaho College killing suspect Bryan Kohberger. That means that there will no longer be any preliminary hearings, and the charges will now move forward. So we'll move forward to a trial. He's been indicted. Now we don't have to do any of the nonsense. Let's get this trial going. Let's get this guy. Let's human veal this guy. That's what we need to do with him. Need to put him in a box. Put him in a box. You ever see the movie, the 1980s movie Motel Hell? Motel Hell. They had like a farm, and it was just people buried in the ground, and they had sacks over their head. And you'd walk up to these little sacks on the ground, and you'd pick them up, and it'd be a dude's head. Ah! That's what they need to do to Bryan Kohberger. Just need to bury him up to his neck, keep a bag over his head. A couple of times a day, we'll remove the bag, and we'll shove some food down his throat, and then the bag goes back on the head. I'd be fine with that. Harry and Meghan are trending. Harry and Megs. Why are they trending? Because there was an incident yesterday in New York. They're in New York because, they're celebrities. They're rock star celebrities. Prince Harry and Meghan pursued in their car by photographers in New York City. It was apparently a very dangerous car chase that unfolded in the streets of Manhattan yesterday when the spare to the throne of England, Harry, and his beautiful American actress wife, Meghan, were, I don't know, they were doing what? Fancy New York City shit, right? And, I'll read you the story. Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan, were pursued in their car by photographers after a charity event in New York, an incident that the mayor and the couple's office described Wednesday as potentially dangerous and stirred memories of the 1997 car crash that killed Harry's mother, Princess Diana. Okay, so I get that. So, it wasn't like this crazy high-speed thing, and I understand. The media, the paparazzi, these people, these celebrity paparazzis, like the people who were chasing Diana on that night, these people are scum. We know these people are scum. They're parasites. We understand this. But Diana is not dead because of them. Oh, no, here we go. This is going to be a big controversial statement. Diana's not dead because of them. Diana's dead because her driver was driving erratically and recklessly. This was the first time that Diana had been in a car that was being pursued by paparazzi. That'd been her entire life for 20 years. This was Diana. She couldn't go anywhere. This incident is treated like, and then the paparazzi descended. They were always descending on her. This was the driver, okay? But it was used, and probably appropriately to a degree, to sort of demonize that type of press. And look, I'm not sticking up for that type of press. I think that type of press should be demonized as much as possible. They are parasites, as I said. But if we're looking at this honestly, in this particular case, I think this was more driver error than Diana. But, here you have Harry, who knows what he believes, and God bless him, he can believe whatever the hell he wants. It's his mom, right? And he certainly knows more than I do. But I've just always felt, this wasn't the first time that she's been chased. Well, it was an accident waiting to happen. I hear the driver was really going fast. And he bottomed out. The tunnel where she died, have you ever seen the accident depiction? He came down the tunnel. It's an incline. You come down slightly into the tunnel, and they said that he was going too fast. And the car bottomed out. When it hit the bottom, it almost like jumped into the tunnel to a degree. And when it bottomed out, because it was such a heavy security car, it didn't handle like a normal car would, and it bounced, and the weight of it caused it to flip and crash and die, and that's what caused the accident. There were dudes on mopeds. Yes, were they chasing him? Yes. But, I often wonder, how hard is it to evade dudes on mopeds? I mean, isn't that why you have limousines or these black things? You just pull the windows down. They can't take pictures. Let them surround you. You're a celebrity. This is why you're on your way to the Plaza Hotel, that top floor suite. Because, again, like I always say on this show, it's a trade-off. You get the yacht, but you being in traffic is going to be a little different than it is for a totally anonymous person. People are going to take your picture and stuff. Anyway, This story with Harry and Meghan coming out of New York today seems to be, to me, a whole lot about nothing. Just seemed like an opportunity for them to shame the press, who Harry has been on a lifelong quest to shame the press. And again, I say maybe rightfully so, because this is his personal situation. This is his mother and all that. So let him fight on, young man. You do what you got to do. I'm just standing on the sidelines going, here's what it looks like to me. Moving on, let's see here. San Antonio is trending. How very exciting for us here in Texas. San Antonio. Why are they trending? Because San Antonio won the NBA draft lottery last night. Santa, you go Spurs. I don't know. Is there like a Spurs thing? Like, spur it up. Is that a thing? What is, is there a slogan? Remember the Alamo. What do San Antonio Spurs fans say? Because there's a lot of Spurs fans. Spurs have been good for a very long. Well, they're not now, but they, previous versions of the Spurs have been good. The years of superstars. I mean, David Robinson, right? Oh, Jesus. They went from David Robinson to Tim Duncan. I mean, that's like what Green Bay did. That's like Green Bay going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That's like the San Francisco 49ers going from Joe Montana to Steve Young. They went from they had David Robinson, they had the Admiral, and then suddenly they got Tim Duncan. And now Victor Wembanyama is going to be a San Antonio Spur. And I said a couple of things. I took some as my British friends would say, I took the piss out of San Antonio a little bit yesterday, talking about the 4 finalist cities that were in contention or had the best odds to acquire the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. And I went, Detroit, you can. There's some money in Detroit. You can live well in Detroit if you've got money. Michigan's a beautiful place to have money. If you have money and you can live in Michigan, that's actually pretty good. And when I said, what kind of money is there, dude? All them Motown people, I mean, they not just Motown, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, the entire auto industry is there, and there's a lot of really wealthy people associated with the American auto industry in all its various forms. You know what I mean? So there's some really nice places. So you can do Detroit, that's fine. Detroit, Houston, Houston was up for it, that was good. But San Antonio, I kind of broke bad on. And then I think I talked myself into, and I think I started with, you don't want to go to San Antonio, because I've had a couple of bad experiences in San Antonio personally. I'm not a big fan of the city, but also that may have been just the context of what was occurring while I was in that city. Fights with girlfriends and that kind of thing. So I was kind of mean to San Antonio. But then I thought, well, you know what though? I mean, French players, the best French player in NBA history is probably Tony Parker, and he's a San Antonio Spur legend. So maybe they got like a pipeline to maybe Victor Wembanyama can come here as a kid, a French kid in a new land, and maybe that the Spurs have a built-in icon in Tony Parker. Might put his arm around the kid. Might be an incredible mentor for his fellow Frenchmen. So I thought, that's a pretty good deal. Maybe San Antonio, and San Antonio won. So the kid's going to San Antonio. They're gonna have to pull. They're gonna have to pull Tony Parker, who I believe today's his birthday, right? Isn't today's birthday? I think I said that in the other recording today on the erstwhile version when we did all the historical events. I think it's his birthday. Anyway, they're gonna have to bring Tony Parker out from south of France or wherever the hell it is that he's spending his retirement days. I'm sure he'll come back. Anyway, that's very cool. That's very cool for San Antonio. I've always liked the Spurs. I've never had a problem with the Spurs. I just had bad experiences in the city of San Antonio. So it was just like, I like San Antonio. But the Spurs I've never had a problem with. Even though I'm a Mavericks fan and, but I respect the Spurs. The city of San Antonio, though, here's something interesting. So I did a little bit of a deep dive on the city of San Antonio because I'm wondering, I'm like, who's probably looking at the Wikipedia page for San Antonio right now? Victor Wembanyama, or at least Victor Wembanyama's girlfriend. Victor Wembanyama's girlfriend. Last night, as soon as San Antonio won the lottery, she was on the Wikipedia page, learning all about where she's going to live. So I did the same thing. So I jumped over and I looked at the Wikipedia page for San Antonio. I learned one thing right out of the box that I thought was incredibly interesting about San Antonio. Second largest city in Texas. I did not know that San Antonio was the second largest city in Texas. I believe it's also the second largest city in the entire southern United States. San Antonio. Look at that. Didn't know that. San Antonio, the city of San Antonio is much bigger than the city of Dallas. Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, that's the order in the state of Texas. That's how they go. But, we here in Texas, we know that Dallas-Fort Worth, the Metroplex, we're the most important media market. We're the most important. We're where most of the people live here in this North Texas area. That's because our little buddy across town, Fort Worth. See, the city of Dallas ain't that big. Fort Worth ain't that big either, but together they make one really big city, and then the Metroplex, all the suburbs in between, make a gargantuan market, whether it's the media market and economic market, whatever it is, gargantuan, fifth largest in the country. I believe it is. I think New York is number one. The New York metro area is number one. Los Angeles is number two. Chicago is number three. San Francisco Bay Area is four. And then Dallas-Fort Worth, the Metroplex, is number five. So don't get it confused. Yes, the city of San Antonio is technically bigger than Dallas, but the Dallas area and people who call Dallas home, way more, way bigger. But I'm reading about San Antonio, and as I read, I start to see projections about the city. Do you know this thing? They call it the Texas Triangle. And I learned all about the Texas Triangle. The Texas Triangle is apparently this area. It's San Antonio to New Braunfels to Austin back to San Antonio. And it runs along like the 35 corridor. And apparently it is projected that is going to become the largest metroplex in not only Texas, but one of the largest in the country. It's going to be bigger than the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. The Texas Triangle metroplex of San Antonio, Austin, and then New Braunfels, and all of the shit that's being built up in between there, all the companies that are moving there, the rapidly expanding growth of Austin as a city. That's where it's going to be. So I'm thinking Victor Wembanyama, he might be arriving in San Antonio at a very good time in his career. He might be able to take advantage of all that stuff. And that's why San Antonio is trending, because they won the NBA draft yesterday. And they're going to get generational French superstar, 7'3" Victor Wembanyama. Did you watch the NBA draft lottery last night? I did. I watched it. There were so many cool highlights of this kid. This freaking kid I don't know, man. Is the hype real? Who knows? But I do know that I don't know that the hype is actually going to turn itself into the greatest basketball player we've ever seen. I mean, he's a crazy hybrid. He's 7'3". He plays like a point guard. It's insane. I don't know if he's ever going to be that thing. There are busts all the time, and there are some people. But the fact of the matter is that if you're looking at his resume and you're looking at this kid, Victor Wembanyama's tape right now, you're probably betting that, yeah, he's going to revolutionize the game, because this is crazy. This is equal parts. I'm trying to think of a good center comp. There's really not a good center comp for him because he's so thin. But again, he's just a kid. He's still a little kid. So he's 7'3". He's so thin. Anyways, imagine, here's the comp. Imagine a 7'3" Kobe Bryant. There you go. That's the potential of what Victor Wembanyama is being said to be. And San Antonio got him. So if you're a San Antonio Spurs fans, man, have a beer from me. I'll toast with you. That kid's going to be fun to watch. But don't get greedy, because I can introduce you to some New Orleans Pelican fans who can tell you the story of Zion. You're not going to want to hear that. They went from Anthony Davis. They had Lonzo. They had Anthony Davis. And then they went all in on Zion. Oh, it didn't work out for him. Poor New Orleans. Caitlin Collins is trending. Remember her? She's the girl that, in my opinion, shit the bed in the Trump town hall. But she came out smelling like a rose, apparently. Caitlin Collins has officially been given the big bump up by CNN. She's going to be a new part of their primetime lineup. What are they giving her? Whose show are they giving her? Are they giving her Cuomo's old show? Like, remember the CNN primetime lineup for years was Anderson Cooper, Cuomo, Lemon, right? Cooper's still there. So who's taking Cuomo? Who's taking Lemon? She's taking Cuomo. All right, she's going in at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Kaitlan Collins, moderator of Trump Forum, is named CNN's new 9 p.m. anchor. All right, whatever. Chris Licht, the new boss at CNN, he took over for Jeff Zucker a couple of months back. Chris Licht is attempting to rebrand yet again, steal the branding that was placed upon them a couple of years back as fake news, whatever. And he likes Kaitlan Collins. Boy, I'll tell you, ever since he showed up, she has been, first she was taken out of, well, okay, so she became the youngest White House press corps member in history when CNN named her as their primary White House press reporter. So that was a big deal. And that was not under Chris Licht. But as soon as Chris Licht got here, he brought her to the morning show. He said, you're out of the White House press corps. You're now going to be a star. I'm putting you in mornings. And then the big Trump town hall thing comes, and he puts her in there. He's going to make her the star, the center of attention there. And now she's getting the Larry King slot. Don't get it twisted. That's what that is. That's what 8 o'clock Central Time on CNN is. That's the Larry King slot. That's the slot they used to dominate. That's the slot that they dick tripped into Piers Morgan and screwed it all up. That's what happened. It was who they followed King with. They went to Piers Morgan, and that dude was awful. All right, that's Kaitlan Collins, why she's trending. How about this one? How about Boebert? Lorena Boebert is trending. That's right, the Boebert. Why is she trending? She's getting a divorce. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Lauren Boebert looks great in blue jeans. I don't believe in trashing women who look great in blue jeans, so we're going to leave it at that. But Lorena Boebert is Boebert. I always confuse her with the woman who cut off John Wayne Bobbitt's penis. That was Lorena Bobbitt, right? That was Lorena Boebert. Lorena Bobbitt and Lauren Boebert are not the same person. There you go. See, we learned something. Lauren Boebert, the Congress lady from Colorado, who I believe is a former escort. I mean, it's out there. I mean, which I know she said she was just a model for hire, but we all know what that is. All right, but we'll slow it down. She's heartbroken because she's going through a divorce. That's right. Lauren Boebert is going to be single again. Let me tell you something about Lauren Boebert. I'll tell you something about her. She's a hot little piece. I tell you, she looks good in them blue jeans. And now she's a hot little piece who is a national celebrity. Now, I know she's a politician. Make no mistake. She's a celebrity. And all that comes with being a celebrity. You drop her into Joliet, Illinois, and you have her walk into a Taco Bell, she's going to be a celebrity. People are going to be like, oh my God, it's that lady that looks good in blue jeans. That's in Congress. That's what they'll say. So she is a celebrity. And she kind of came out of nowhere. She's like one of these overnight celebrities. You know, she's like, she was hot for like whatever hillside she lived on there in Colorado. She was hot for that like side of the mountain. Hottest girl on this side of the mountain. And so she married some, other mountain folk dude. And I think she got married when she was like 17. It was one of these weird, like she got knocked up, dropped out of high school, married the dude. They've been married for 20 years. All of a sudden, she becomes, somebody that people on TV are talking about. She's on TV. Hell, she's being talked about by some of the most important people in the land. She's no longer just the hottest girl on that side of the mountain. Now she's playing in a different pool. Now she's going to cocktail mixers and she's flirting with Chris Cuomo. Now she's, whatever, I'm just throwing out an example. Now she's going to parties where, Kid Rock is like totally getting all handsy with her. What I'm saying is, Lorraine Boebert, her love pool that she can now swim in is a little bit different than the one when she married old Jethro 20-something years ago. You're going to see. Look at it's not just her. It happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene, too. they looked at their husbands and they went, I think a United States senator was flirting with me today, and I'm sitting here looking at you, Bubba, who, you work at the tire factory. You know what I mean? It's like, and this happens all the time. I'm actually, this is the Hillary Clinton glass ceiling moment that maybe we ought to be celebrating, and that is that these two women who found themselves sudden fame, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, these two women are now doing what men have been doing for generation. That's right. How many high school, college sweethearts have been left brokenhearted by their NFL quarterback boyfriend who moved to the big city and started dating Gisele Bundchen, right? This happens all the time. Happens all the time. Man and woman get married. They work up a business. The business gets real successful. The dude is like a titan in his industry. Every room that he walks into, he is getting just, oh, yes, sir, yes, sir. He gets all that. He goes home to the wife of 20 years, and she shits on him, and he's like, hey, I am a man of respect. And then he gets a divorce, and then he gets a younger girlfriend. Men have been doing this forever. And Lauren Boebert's doing it now. Lauren Boebert's like, you know what? Who do you think she's like got her eyes on? Like Neil Sean from Journey? Like she's gonna end up. I'm trying to think of the right wing celebrities, or at least right wing Matt Gaetz. Oh, are they gonna become like the crazy DC power couple? I could see it. Although didn't Matt Gaetz just get married? Didn't Matt Gaetz just get married like a 15-year-old or something? Some adopted... You know what? I don't know enough about Matt Gaetz. I just know the little things that I hear. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. So Lorena Boebert's divorcing her husband. This is her husband, by the way, who was arrested for whipping his dick out in front of some teenage girls at a bowling alley. And then his defense was, and she echoed his defense, the defense was, I was only kidding. Well, but you weren't kidding. Kidding would be where you pretend like you're going to whip your dick out. But you actually whipped your dick out, so you weren't kidding. Nah, I was just kidding. No. Again, we're going to have to go over the definition of kidding. Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert has filed to divorce her husband of 2 decades. The April 25th filing seeks to dissolve her marriage to Jason Boebert, with whom she shares 4 sons. An affidavit of service also obtained indicate that Jason Boebert appeared to be caught off guard by the court proceedings. Yeah, I bet he was. He was married to her for 20 years. He was totally taking her for granted. He loved that she was famous because maybe he got to drink for free at the corner tavern now. And she ain't cheating on me. Guys never consider that. Meanwhile, she's in Washington hooking up with Matt Gaetz and Kid Rock. The April 25th filing seeks to dissolve her marriage. Let's see here. Once he learned, this is Jason now, Jason Boebert. Once he learned that he was being... Hold on.
It's the finals, baby.
Hold on, I got the speakers on here. We got to fix that, don't we? Yeah, we do. Yeah, hey, okay. Let's see here. Once he learned that he was being served with dissolution of marriage papers, he became extremely angry. Oh, this is a process server giving the blow-by-blow. So the process server tried to serve old Jason Boebert with the divorce papers that had been filed by Lauren. And he got really mad. And apparently he was drinking booze and he was cleaning his gun at the time that this happened. And he wouldn't meet with the process server. So the process server left the papers on a chair outside the door and went to walk back to his car, at which point Jason Boebert opened the dog and let the dogs loose. He sent the dogs after him. To which, when asked by a reporter why he did that, he said, "Them dogs ain't gonna hurt nobody." That's what he said. That was his response. He opened the door, he let the dogs chase after the process server, and when asked why he did that, Jason Boebert's response was, them dogs ain't gonna hurt nobody. That's almost, you guys, you have no idea, that's almost an accurate quote. Almost. So there you go. So that's happened. So Lauren Boebert's about to be single. Single. Hold on. What the hell just happened? hold on, guys. Sorry. Okay. Again, welcome to a very special edition of High Noon with Pug. This is recorded. These are all of the trends that I was gonna do. So I apologize. We'll be back up and running as normal tomorrow. Dianne Feinstein. Oh, you know what we'll do here? Yeah, okay. One for because I just can't hammer Lauren Boebert for being a complete dimwit, because she is. She's a total dimwit. Looks amazing in blue jeans, but she's a total dimwit. I mean, I don't think, here's the deal. Like, I don't have what it takes to serve in Congress, probably. That seems like a lot of work. And it seems like you really got to know things. If you truly want to serve to the best of your ability, and if you are truly dedicated to the idea of serving a constituency, not your own best interest, but a constituency. I don't know that I have what it takes, right? I don't know. I think my ideas and my values are good and all that, and I could do it, but I don't know. It seems like a hard job. It really does. That's why when people go, hell, I could be president, I'm like, do you know what time the president has to wake up in the morning? You know how many meetings the president has before 10 a.m.? I'm just like drinking my first coffee at 10 a.m. The president has already been up for 5 hours. Anyway, I don't have what it takes to be president. I've said this before. But I sure as shit feel like I would be better than Lauren Boebert, right? I mean, I sure as shit feel like I'm smarter than her. I'm sorry. I hate to say, I don't think I'm a really smart guy. I don't think I'm like, any special or anything. But I know I'm smarter than Lauren Boebert. I know that. I know that if we sat down and we just started talking about things, there would be shit she doesn't know that I would be like, what? How the fuck do you not know who Henry Ford was? Stuff like that. Like crazy stuff that you just take for granted. Now, moving on from Boebert, we're going to talk about somebody else. We're going to talk about a United States Senator who I sure as shit know that I'm better than right now, and that is Dianne Feinstein. Oh, good Lord. Dianne Feinstein, the Democratic senator from California. She's been there since like Abe Lincoln was killed. She's been there forever. And she's super old, and I'm not an ageist, but I'm kind of an ageist. She needs to go. She needs to go. This is such an absurd situation with her. It's not like a Republican is going to win that seat in California, right? That's a safe blue seat. Let her go. She's like 100 years old. She hadn't been in Congress for like months, right? So here's why she's trending now. She hadn't been in Congress for months. She's been back in like hospital or probably, who knows, maybe hospice care, who knows? They're wheeling her around. She's in a wheelchair. They're wheeling her around in and out of these meetings and these votes and all that stuff. And she's like, I think segregation has some points. She has no idea what she's doing. And the reason she's trending is because she was, I'm not going to say confronted, but she was greeted by some reporters yesterday as she was being wheeled through the halls of Congress. And the reporter asked her what she'd been doing for these 2.5 months that she wasn't in Washington, D.C., and she was missing votes. She wasn't in her office and all that stuff. What she'd been doing. And she said, what are you talking about? I've been here the whole time. And they're like, no, you've been, we thought in California, your office said you were in California, you were recovering from it. What have you been doing these past months? And she got angry. And she was like, no, I've been here the whole time. She's batshit nuts. She's senile. She doesn't even know where she was. This was a moment where she was caught off guard, and maybe her handlers were caught off guard, and a question got through, and she answered it. Now, maybe that's not the kind of thing. I have no idea who is controlling her at this point. None of us do. Because I can't believe that she's making her own decisions. She doesn't know where she's been for the last 2.5 months. Good Lord, Dianne Feinstein. And what's with that haircut? Dianne Feinstein got her hair cut a certain way in 1963. And she was like, this is the look. And she has been wearing that stupid Sandra Day O'Connor haircut since 1963 or whenever she got it. It's absurd. But that happens a lot. That's one of my favorite things. I don't have hair, so I notice dudes with hair, and I notice when a dude's haircut is frozen. Like, the most obvious one is like the 55-year-old dude who's still got the mullet, because he's still like in the rock scene, but he's like 55, and it's like, yeah, you got your haircut like that in 86, 87, and you've been going strong with it because you think it looks good. I have one friend, who I won't mention, who has a haircut that I swear to God, and this is the funniest thing because we've been able to actually prove this. He's got a haircut that is the exact same haircut that he had in his 6th grade class photo. when you look at the 6th grade, it's a pompadour that's cut to the side. It's the exact same haircut. The man is in his mid-50s now, and he's still going to the barber and going, make me look like a 6th grader. Anyway, that's something that's always bothered me about Feinstein, her hair. Salma Hayek is trending. Salma Hayek is trending because apparently she had a wardrobe malfunction. That's right. Slow it down and sound it out. Maybe we can show it here. I don't know. Let me see if we can show this. She, what was she celebrating? She was celebrating something. Look, I don't need a reason to celebrate Salma Hayek. Oh my God. I'm such a big Salma Hayek fan. Did you ever hear the Danny Trejo Salma Hayek story? So, Danny Trejo and Salma Hayek are in From Dusk Till Dawn together. That's the Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino collaboration. It's a Robert Rodriguez film, but Tarantino was involved to a degree. George Clooney starred in it. I still maintain it's George Clooney's coolest movie. From Dusk Till Dawn. Anyway, Salma Hayek played a vampire stripper in From Dusk Till Dawn. And Danny Trejo played one of the vampires at the strip club where she stripped. Anyway, so they were in the movie together, and it was the first time that Danny Trejo and Salma Hayek had met. And Danny Trejo had never seen Salma Hayek before. And this is like, 1999? So that's understandable. So Danny Trejo walks up to her, and he's staring at her. And I guess Danny Trejo could be kind of creepy if he's just staring at you. And if you're a beautiful woman like Salma Hayek, I'm sure you're used to some degree of constant staring. But this is, again, Danny Trejo. So it's a little bit weird. So she says to him, "Hi, I'm Salma, Danny. We've never met before." And Danny Trejo says, "Forgive me. I can't believe I'm laying eyes on you. I've been looking for you my whole life." And then Danny Trejo opens up his chest, and he's got that famous tattoo on his chest of a girl. And apparently that girl looks exactly like Salma Hayek. So Danny Trejo opens it up to Salma Hayek and shows it to her. And they embrace, and apparently they've been like brother and sister ever since then. So isn't that a fun little story? I'm trying to get this Salma Hayek video to show so that we can just celebrate her. What is she? She's celebrating something. I don't know what she's celebrating. But it's a wardrobe malfunction. Oh, here we go. We have to watch it here. Oh, is it going to be do this post on Instagram? Nah. I just want to show Salma Hayek, and hopefully this will work. Watch this. God, she's a glorious woman. I don't know, what is she like? We need to do for that, but how about it? How about Salma Hayek? How lovely is she? All right, hold on, waiting for the computer to. That drained a hole. That was kind of an experiment there. We're having some technical problems here on the show, and every time I try and play something or share something, it goes a little haywire, and I wanted to see what would happen there, and guess what? It went a little haywire, so forgive me. The Golden Bachelor. The Golden Bachelor is trending. What is the Golden Bachelor, you may ask? The Golden Bachelor is the latest edition of the Bachelor television series. They're going after old people. This is going to be 60 plus Bachelor. So The Bachelor. See, the Bachelor's been on the air for 28 seasons. That must be like 2 seasons a year, because that show ain't been on for 30 years. The Bachelor wasn't on in the 90s. The Bachelor is a mid 2000s. I don't know where they're getting the 28 seasons. Maybe, but whatever. Do they have 2 separate versions of The Bachelor? Are they counting The Bachelorette too? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, the point is they're going after old people. The next edition of The Bachelor is going to be called The Golden Bachelor, and it is going to feature older people, 60 plus people looking for love. Now, this is absolutely brilliant, and I cannot believe that it took them this long to do that, because who do you think is still watching network TV? What they've been seeing with The Bachelor and shows on ABC network or network delivered television, what they've been seeing is their numbers and the key younger demos dropping for years and years. Why? Because there's knockoff shows. They stream them on Netflix, whatever. You got all these knockoff things. I mean, these kinds of looking for love reality shows are a dime a dozen. Young people simply are not watching ABC. Young people are simply not tuning into a show specifically at a time and sitting through commercials. That is just not happening. You know who's doing that? People over 60 are still doing that. And ABC understands this. So ABC is no longer going to be actively courting that much desired younger demo. They're going to be actively courting the demo that they have, which is incredibly smart. Live in the real world, not in the world that you want to live in. ABC needs to live in the real world where the core of their audience is 50 plus. They don't have very many 18, 19-year-olds who are like, I love ABC. Nobody even knows what ABC is. So this is actually a pretty clever idea, and I wish them luck with it. This is, I've been saying this about radio too. Radio, less and less people listen to radio, and by radio I mean terrestrially delivered broadcast signals. Those are the signals that are sent out of a tower and you catch them with your car antenna or whatever. That's going away. Why? Because digital delivery, streaming and all that stuff is just a far more cost-effective way to deliver the exact same content, and it's actually even better. It's actually, there's so many ways that it is superior. But FM radio stations, they're still around and they cost, money, and there's big giant corporations that are heavily leveraged in this area, the area of broadcast American radio and TV. But they don't need to be terrestrial anymore. They don't need to be sending the signal. They don't need to use the towers. They don't need to have the engineers. They don't need all of this overhead, which is upwards of $1 million a year factored into the budget. You could wipe out $1 million from the budget just by saying, we're going to start streaming this way. You know who does still listen to the radio, though? You know who does? Older people like me, people who my entire life, we're the last generation of radio listeners. We get in the car and we'll put something on and we'll drive in traffic and we'll actually sit there and listen through the commercials because we're conditioned to think that that's normal. My kid is not conditioned to sit through commercials. So like my 13-year-old is like, nope. He's used to a commercial being 5 seconds and then he gets to click skip ad. So that's the new generation out there. So this is why, and I've been saying this, I'm like, if you like FM radio, you know what you're going to get? Here's what you're going to get. They're going to go after, here's who they want. They still want men because they believe that men have the buying power, which is not true, but whatever. Radio is always going after men. So they're still going to go after men, but they're going to go after men over 50. That's why AM is nothing but sports talk and right-wing politics, because they are specifically going after old white men. And what are you going to get on the FM? They want the old white men too, but there's a lot of old white men out there that don't want to listen to sports talk. So you're going to get classic rock. So every city's going to have like 5 classic rock stations. You're going to be able to hear Bad Company or Led Zeppelin anytime. Why? Because the people who want to hear that are the only people who are still punching buttons on an old-timey radio. Everybody else is listening to their Spotify playlist. But, embracing the reality that the audiences for terrestrial delivered broadcasting, embracing the reality that these audiences are old and they're going to live another 40 years. Don't give up on grandma and grandpa. People are living old. This is not a give up thing. But that's your audience now. In the embrace of that reality that this is actually who we have listening has been slow to come. And ABC, I salute you. The Golden Bachelor. That's right, a bachelor for old people. Because old people are the only people still watching network TV. Depression is trending. This is an interesting thing I wanted to mention. This depression. Dateline Washington. The percentage of U.S. adults who report having been diagnosed with depression at some point in their lifetime has reached 29.0%, nearly 10 percentage points higher than in 2015. So remember 2015. It's nearly 10 percentage points higher than it was in 2015, 8 years ago. The percentage of Americans who currently have or are being treated for depression has also increased to 17.8, up about 7 points over the same period. Both rates are the highest recorded by Gallup since it began measuring depression. Okay, so highest ever recorded. So what does this mean? So what are we supposed to, we read this story, we see that, oh, depression is up. More people have depression now than ever before. Does that mean that more people have depression? No, it means that more people are diagnosed with depression. This does not mean that in 2023, there are 10% more of the population suffering from depression than they were in 1993. No, it's just they didn't have a name for it in 1993, and they still called psychiatrists head shrinkers back then. So people didn't get diagnosed. The only reason that we're seeing an uptick in the numbers is because we've had an uptick in the awareness. People now understand that, okay, maybe there's a reason that I've been arrested 4 times in the last 2 years for bar brawls. Maybe I need to figure out what's going on that's causing me to remake this same mistake over, right? There's more awareness of that. There's more people talking about it. So when you see this, depression is up to record highs, that doesn't mean that people actually have depression more now. It just means that more people are dealing with it so that it's being registered. I mean, I think my grandmother suffered from depression. When I look back at my grandma and the way I think that she suffered from very severe depression, not debilitating. There's a lot of people out there with debilitating, but there were reasons now that I can explain away some of her behaviors and some of the things that I'd noticed about her that I can go, oh, well, you know what? I bet you I can relate to that. I bet you that was, but my grandma would never have been diagnosed. She would have never said she had depression. She didn't know. She just dealt with it, you know? Same thing with autism. You know, I mean, every kid now has autism, or not every kid, but, you know, where is he on the spectrum? You know, we're way more aware of it now. Why? Because we have more people being diagnosed now than ever before. You know, but back in the 1960s, every classroom had a weird kid. It was just the weird kid. But today we know that that's not just a weird kid, that kid has something going on, that he's on the spectrum, that there's a reason for his awkwardness or whatever it is. So the reason depression is up isn't because these are such depressing times. No, the numbers, the amount of people, the amount of human beings who are going to suffer from this is probably going to remain pretty static. However, the statistics of it all are going to look skewed. It's going to look like this is the year that everybody got depression. No, it's just that this is the year that people who would heretofore have been undiagnosed are now getting diagnosed. Let's see. Is there anything else that we have here? Pat McAfee, wanted to talk about this. Pat McAfee made big announcement yesterday. We've been talking about this. He's been trending a couple of times over the past few weeks. What do they call it on the Pat McAfee show? I watch the Pat McAfee show a lot. They call it lion season. Lion, not lion like roar. Lion like, I'm going to tell you a fib. They call it lion season. And every year when the contract comes up with Pat McAfee, he says it's lion season, where, you know, you hear all kinds of rumors about, are they going somewhere? Also, lion season has to do with free agency, football free agency. Anyway, point is, we just came through a big lion season where the Pat McAfee show is concerned. Pat McAfee show had sold to FanDuel for $120 million. Woo! Big money. Big money. FanDuel, sole sponsor of the Pat McAfee show there on YouTube, one of the hottest shows on YouTube. In my opinion, the future of sports talk. I think that it's one of the most innovative and interesting, it's just completely different than what I think most people would assume sports talk would sound like. My point is this. Every year, the FanDuel deal with Pat McAfee was a 1-year deal. So it's been a couple of years of renewing a 1-year deal. So it's like every year, it's 120 again, 120 million again, whatever the budget is. This year, the rumors started that he was going to walk away from that incredible $120 million FanDuel, and he was going to jump over to ESPN, and those stories were going around, and people were like, no, it can't happen. Well, guess what? It's happening. He announced it yesterday. Pat McAfee himself, as far as a salary, is going to be earning $10 million a year from ESPN, the sports leader. This is great. So the show is going. So it's going to be the Pat. So for me, who is a fan of the 3-hour or so Pat McAfee show that streams every day on YouTube, absolutely nothing is going to change. That show is just going to be on ESPN. So if you have ESPN, it's going to be like First Take is going to be the first show, and then whatever the next ESPN mid-morning show is. And then you're going to get 3 hours of the Pat McAfee show. You're going to get a straight, it's going to be great. And now probably won't be as salty language-wise as it was on the YouTube stream. But so it's going to be on ESPN Live. It's going to be on ESPN Plus Live. Now, this is going to be every day, a big chunk of time, 3 hours a day in the middle of the day on ESPN. And then it's also going to continue streaming for free on ESPN YouTube's channel. So ESPN's YouTube channel will continue to stream it for free if you don't have ESPN or you don't want to pay for that app. You can still watch the show every day on YouTube on the ESPN stream. It will be available for free. That was one of the contentions that McAfee had. He said, "Look, anybody can get the show for free. I wanted that to continue," and apparently that was a sticking point, but came down on McAfee's side. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's a very big platform for him. There's a credibility thing here. And in his big announcement on his show yesterday about the move to ESPN, he said, he shouted out Bob Iger, which was the clue for me that this was a very real deal. Bob Iger is the most powerful man in Hollywood. He's the head of Disney. He's a big behemoth of a badass. And he's taking secret meetings with Bob Iger. It means they lured him to ESPN with greater Disney promises, greater Disney universe opportunities, and that kind of thing, which I totally understand. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it. That's pretty much all of the, that's everything that I wanted to get into today, the trending topics and whatnot. I apologize that this was such a weirdly disjointed show, but hey, we got through it. You can go back if you want to listen to the whole thing. I guess there's like segment 1 and segment 2, which would be the first half of the show, the erstwhile on this day, where we run through the events of the day, where we run through the birthdays, and then we play everyone's favorite game. Here are the people who died on this day. Do we care? So you can do that. You can go to pugscast.com, and that'll be just the show from this date. That says part 1 or part 2 or whatever. I did not hear the dog's going nuts. That means I gotta go. Boom, boom, boom. I've even got the wrong closing theme going here. Guys, let's just call it a show.